You know, back in the early 20th century, something huge was happening in the world of literature, and right at the heart of it was Virginia Woolf. She wasn't just coming up with new stories. No, she was challenging the very definition of what a story even is. So today, we're going to dive into how she decided to basically tear up the rulebook of fiction and build something totally new in its place.
Woolf started with his really radical question, one that just completely shook the literary world at the time. What if the most famous authors, the bestsellers, the absolute giants of the era, what if they were all missing the point about what it actually feels like to be alive? And oh, she was not afraid to name names. In her big 1919 essay, Modern Fiction, she picked a fight. But not with the classics, not with Shakespeare or Austen. No, she went right after the biggest writers of her own time. This wasn't just some casual criticism. It was a total declaration of war.
Yeah, this essay was basically her manifesto. It was her big argument that the world was changing so fast and the novel needed to change with it. It had to break free from all the old, tired conventions to really capture the messy, complicated, beautiful truth of modern life.
So who exactly was this old guard she was going up against? Well, she was taking on the entire Edwardian establishment. We're talking the most powerful, most respected writers of her day.
She specifically pointed the finger at three men: H.G. Wells, Arnold Bennett, and John Galsworthy. For her, these guys represented a style of fiction that was just getting stale, a style that, in her opinion, was focused on all the wrong things.
She even came up with a name for them: the materialists. What she meant was that these writers were masters at describing the stuff of life. The houses people lived in, the clothes they wore, the social ladders they were climbing, but they totally missed what was going on inside their characters' heads.
This really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the materialist novel. It's all about plot, rules, and what's happening on the outside. Woolf thought of this as just describing the body. But on the other side, you have her vision for the modern novel, a deep dive into the spirit, into consciousness, and the wild, unpredictable flow of thought itself.
And her critique was so sharp and specific. She felt like their characters were just too busy with all the comforts and gadgets of modern life, like sitting around in a fancy train car pushing buttons, to ever really show us anything deep about the human soul. She thought it was just completely superficial.
Now here's the crucial part. Woolf wasn't saying they were bad writers. Not at all. She admitted they had immense skill. Her real frustration was that all this incredible talent was being wasted on making tiny, unimportant details seem like the most important things in the world, while actual life was just slipping through their fingers.
But Woolf didn't just tear things down. She offered up this powerful, poetic, and absolutely revolutionary idea for what the novel could be instead.
And this is the question that changes everything. I mean, think about it. If life isn't just a series of events, A leads to B, leads to C, all fitting perfectly into a story, then what on earth is it? And how could a writer ever hope to capture that?
First, she tells us what life is not. It's not some perfectly straight road lit by these old-fashioned, evenly spaced street lamps. It's not predictable, it's not linear, and it's definitely not neat. With just one sentence, she's dismantling that entire old way of thinking.
And then she gives us this, her incredible answer. For Woolf, life is a luminous halo. It's this constant, shimmering, half-see-through awareness that's all around us. It's not a straight line, it's an atmosphere. It's all the stuff happening inside our minds, the memories, the random thoughts, the sudden feelings.
So from that beautiful idea, the job of the writer completely changes. A novelist's task is no longer to build a neat plot. Instead, it's to capture this incessant shower of innumerable atoms as they hit our consciousness. It's about showing the mind at work in all its messy, moment-to-moment glory.
Okay, but how do you actually do that? How do you put that on a page? Well, this totally new vision of life needed a totally new way of writing.
And this is where stream of consciousness comes in. It's the tool that lets a writer record all those falling atoms. It literally drops the reader right inside a character's mind, letting us experience their thoughts and feelings as they happen, totally unfiltered and all over the place. It's the key to capturing that luminous halo.
The amazing thing is, Woolf's ideas weren't just some theory she cooked up. She actually did it. She put her money where her mouth was, and in the process, she changed the novel forever.
Her own novels, like Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse, are the perfect examples of her ideas in action. They pretty much get rid of a traditional plot and instead just give you this deep, immersive dive into our characters' minds over a really short amount of time.
And she knew she wasn't alone in this. In that same essay, she gave a shout-out to other modernists like James Joyce because she saw him trying to do the same thing, to get closer to life, to capture more of its real texture than the old materialists ever did. This wasn't just her idea, it was the birth of a whole movement.
All right, so let's quickly recap. What are the big takeaways here? First, Virginia Woolf took on the literary establishment by rejecting their obsession with external material details. Second, she gave us this new, incredible vision of life as a luminous halo of consciousness. And finally, that big idea led to game-changing techniques like stream of consciousness that would define modern literature.
And that leaves us with a really interesting question for today, doesn't it? In our world, where we spend so much time building these perfect-looking lives online, Woolf's challenge feels more important than ever. How do we look past the carefully arranged photos and statuses of our own lives to capture the messy, beautiful, and real truth of that luminous halo inside each of us?